Hey guys, welcome back to Down the Stretch. Today I want to look at one of the most underrated horses I think to run at Caymanas Park, and that's going to be the great CECELIA. She was a filly, a chestnut filly out of Burning Mark by She's on Wheels. Her dam She's on Wheels was also an excellent thoroughbred, won multiple races, was an imported filly. CECELIA was the Caribbean Sprint Championship winner 2010 to 2012, so won it 3 consecutive years. Was the Sprint Champion in 2010 and 2012. Was 2-time Horse of the Year 2011 and 2012. 2-time Gold Cup winner 2011 and 2012, and has the record, the only horse in Jamaica to win 13 consecutive races, a record she broke on the 13th of April 2013 when breaking Warzone's record. So we're going to have a look at some of the races. I don't have all the races, but we're going to have a look at some of the great feat by this great filly, CECELIA. As I said, in my opinion, as a filly, local bred, I think this is the best sprinter I've seen as a local bred filly. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen other local bred filly as good as CECELIA sprinting. And not only that, CECELIA was the winner of the 1,000 Guineas in 2009 and also the Jamaica Oaks. So she also has 2 classics wins under her belt. So she's definitely a legend at Caymanas Park. Faced a lot of tough horses in her time. I don't have the final season, 2013 races, when she really faced tough competition, winning her 13 consecutive races, but I do have a few to show here. So enjoy.
Miss Ruth in, field in line for the 2009 1,000 Guineas. It's over a mile, a field of 15 thereof. Flawless Talent, Royalty, they get away quickly on the far side along with Courtyard Katara. Miss Ruth is running also quickly, and Miss Ruth is sent through to pick up an early lead in the Guineas. Miss Angelica shadows her on the outside. Semoy is kept off those fractions with CECELIA right alongside. Patara racing further back in 5th, some 5.5 lengths off the lead. A tight group of horses come next. Anastasia between runners. Beautiful spaces right there. Shakira and Darlingford. Courtyard joins them out wide, no more than 7 lengths off the lead, followed up by She's Magic. A break back to Jungle Queen in the green as they have now run past the 5/8 pole. Royalty races up next. Cashley on the fence and Flawless Talent trails as Miss Ruth under a tight wrap rated on that lead. Leaves the half-mile. Attack now by CECELIA as they go spinning into the turn, and the crowd begins to shout in excitement. Semoy going after them in 3rd. Only some 3.5 off that lead. Miss Angelica Patara moving as a team as they go past the 3. Further back to Courtyard in the white. Anastasia just ahead of Shakira in between horses. She's Magic the grey on the outside, but Miss Ruth and CECELIA have turned for home, and CECELIA gets the red noseband in front. Miss Ruth fights back against the fence in the white noseband. It's CECELIA and Miss Ruth Hara throwing everything at Miss Ruth, but CECELIA has the upper hand inside the final furlong. The rider changing the stick on Miss Ruth, but it's not enough. CECELIA begins to come away in the end. This is an upset, and CECELIA storms in to win the 1,000 Guineas. Miss Ruth has to settle for 2nd. Patara is 3rd. She's Magic 4th. Semoy is 5th. Of the bigger Jamaica Oaks, it's over 10 furlongs. The fillies are off. Skipping Sue took off slowest. Miss Ruth has gone into her customary position, straight to the front. Held tightly there by Fernando Haro. CECELIA tracking in 2nd. Patara passes us in 3rd. Running Loose and She's Magic racing up together. Further back to Flawless Talent in the yellow with the black. Jungle Queen in the green is next. Anastasia and Skipping Sue are the back markers as Miss Ruth stepping off the rail runs a turn wide. CECELIA closer to the fence. Patara right against it. Some 3.5 lengths back to She's Magic, now going ahead of Running Loose. Flawless Talent is a further 3 lengths down. Jungle Queen and Anastasia forming the line of 3 briefly as they overtake Flawless Talent and Skipping Sue at the back. They've taken the back stretch, and Miss Ruth attempts to go all the way. She's leading by 3 over CECELIA. 2 lengths back to Patara. A break of some 5.5 to She's Magic. A gap of 6 to Running Loose. Overtaken now by Anastasia moving out wide. Skipping Sue races next. That's the grey and the pink with the yellow cap. Flawless Talent on the fence, and Jungle Queen unable to cope. Left struggling at the back as the field now make the way to the half mile. Miss Ruth Hara slowing it down. St. Cecilia getting closer on the outside, challenging at the half mile. Patara further back in third, a gap to She's Magic, then Anastasia. They're all strung out. Flawless Talent and Skipping Sue are miles off that lead, along with Running Loose and Jungle Queen struggling. St. Cecilia strikes the front at the 3. Miss Ruth, does she have anything left on the rail? Patara further back in third. These are the main contenders. 5 more to Anastasia as the Oaksfield turns for home, and St. Cecilia is in command at the top of the stretch. Miss Ruth will try to fight back toward the outside. That's Patara. Over on the rail, Anastasia, but it's St. Cecilia approaching the final furlong, getting touches of the left-hand stick. Anastasia on the rail, Patara on her shoulder just wide. Flawless Talent has run on from the back of horses. Miss Ruth has had it, but it's the 1,000 guineas winner, St. Cecilia, putting them all away. She wins the Oaks in fine style. Anastasia is second, Patara is third, fourth Flawless Talent, fifth Jungle Queen.
Seven furlongs for the Gold Cup, and they're off. It's a very, very level breaker. Hoofer with the big weight prompts the issue, but there goes St. Cecilia. Al Safra is on the outside, and down on the rails, Regal Selection. Lady Hastings also there too. So it's St. Cecilia just the leader here. Quicken Grey puts his head in second. Regal Selection is third on the rail. Good Citizen is on the outside. In between horses is Al Safra. A Hoofer is also there, and Shanghai Pass. Then comes Lady Hastings, Chadman, Honey of a Lady, and last of all is Rum Talk. This is the way they go towards the 4 furlong point, with in front on the inside. That is St. Cecilia. On the outside, Al Safra. In between horses, the grey is a Quicken Grey. They've gone about 4 to 5 lengths clear of a Hoofer, a Good Citizen, and Honey of a Lady coming from the back. But it is on the outside, the reigning horse of the year, Al Safra, who hits the front as the Gold Cup field turns for home. St. Cecilia fights on towards the inside. Quicken Grey is down on the rail. A Hoofer comes forward with a big weight. Honey of a Lady comes running on wide outside. But it's St. Cecilia as they come inside the final furlong. A Hoofer and Honey of a Lady closing best of all. Honey of a Lady flying down the outside. Honey of a Lady's going to win the Gold Cup at the expense of St. Cecilia. St. Cecilia inside, Honey of a Lady outside, and it's close. Looks to be St. Cecilia over Honey of a Lady. A Hoofer.
They're all ready to go. They're off. Quicken Grey misses the start. Honey of a Lady took off sharply along with Minister of Justice. The top weight, a Hoofer, right in behind them on the outside of St. Cecilia, slotted in between runners. The Bomber close to them as they go flashing past the 5. Quicken Grey now recovers after the early glitch. Chadman left at the back. Arriving at the half mile, Minister of Justice, St. Cecilia, and Honey of a Lady now in a battle up front. The Bomber further back and racing just ahead of the top weighted a Hoofer. 2 lengths back to Quicken Grey, and Chadman not in it at all as they now slip past the 3. And St. Cecilia, the Gold Cup winner, has taken the advantage over Minister of Justice on the rail. Honey of a Lady now asked to bubble to the boil on the outside of horses. A Hoofer is also shaken hard. The Bomber between runners, then Quicken Grey, and way back to Chadman. But St. Cecilia is in full flight, arriving at the furlong pole. The right-hand stick now called for. Honey of a Lady needs to make up a 3.5 length deficit. Minister of Justice running the rail. A Hoofer not handling the big weight well, but St. Cecilia is flying right away from them. The filly has opened daylight over Honey of a Lady and takes the Abisa Memorial Cup. It's tight for the Miners. The Bomber and the Hoofer go by with Quicken Grey on the outside. They're off. Prince of Peace comes out at the back. St. Cecilia charges into an early lead. Honey of a Lady going in pursuit along with Forever Mine. Minister of Justice relaxed in behind them in 4th. 3 lengths back to an improving Prince of Peace. A half a mile remaining, St. Cecilia nearest the rail. Honey of a Lady kept on the outside, right against the fence. Forever Mine chasing them a close third. Minister of Justice is 3.5 lengths back and running in fourth. They're stringing out a bit, and Prince of Peace remains at the back as St. Cecilia is travelling powerfully at the 5:16. She has a 3-length lead over Honey of a Lady under strong urging. Forever Mine still close enough to land a blow. Here's Minister of Justice now. He'll come at them wide as they've turned for her, and Prince of Peace at the back. But St. Cecilia enjoys the underfoot condition. She's opened up 5, maybe more, a furlong to run. St. Cecilia, catch her if you can. Honey of a Lady and Forever Mine continue the pursuit. Minister of Justice in behind them. But St. Cecilia with 60.5 kilos and Alan Moraz sprays them with mud. In the end, wins it by 5 or more over Honey of a Lady, Forever Mine, Minister of Justice. Field in line for the 22nd running of the CTL Caribbean Sprint Championship. They're off. Brash and Sassy missed the start, not Mr. Skill already taken to that lead, and slipping off by some 2 3/4 lengths. St. Cecilia goes a-chasing. Antioch races further back in third, over Classy Prospect in the green with a gold cap racing out wide. Hail the Genius is positioned right on the rail. Prince Theo follows him, then Minister of Justice in the green. Brash and Sassy asked to recover after the slow start. They leave the half mile and run toward the 7/16th. Mr. Skill out in front. St. Cecilia asked to get him, and she draws alongside and has a look in his eyes, and now St. Cecilia is gone as they leave the 3. Mr. Skill fighting on in second. A break back to Antioch moving fluently in third as they leave the 5/16th marker. A gap to Hail the Genius. Minister of Justice now wound up for his run begins to come at them, as they have now turned for home, and it's the big filly, St. Cecilia, out in front with 3/16 remaining. Mr. Skill down against the fence. Antioch Justin is outside. Minister of Justice, Classy Prospect, and Hail the Genius now asked to come through, but it's St. Cecilia. She's travelling powerfully. Winston Griffiths, this is win number 1600. He reaches another milestone, and St. Cecilia wins the Sprint Championship over Classy Prospect, Hail the Genius. Tight between Minister of Justice, Brash and Sassy. They're off for the Reggae Trophy. St. Cecilia gets away on the far side, accompanied by the Guardian. Brash and Sassy is more toward the center in the early exchanges. That's So Sweet is also showing her usual dash. Savon kept to the outside. Triple Account wound up at the back of the field as they run away with just about 3 furlongs remaining. That's So Sweet guides them along. Followed closely by a Brash and Sassy. St. Cecilia will have running to do. She's over on the far side as they now make their way toward the final quarter, and has Dance So Sweet slipped them. Brash and Sassy in hot pursuit along with Savant and Triple Account. St. Cecilia now asked to get into top stride. She's getting a crack of the stick over on the far side. It's Dance So Sweet under the stand. St. Cecilia running straight and true on the far side. Brash and Sassy and Savant in behind them. Dance So Sweet nearest to us on the far side. St. Cecilia and St. Cecilia on the far side. Motors well in the end to win it over Dance So Sweet, Savant, Brash and Sassy. They're all set to go. They're off. For the non-such, the Guardian just misses it. Saragossa in between horses, Double the Honey and St. Cecilia racing out wide, and St. Cecilia now grabs a very narrow advantage. It's held over a Double the Honey. Saragossa tracks them close up in third. Dance So Sweet just in behind the leading 3, running in fourth as they head to the half mile. A gap opens up to the Guardian wide of the rail running Machismo. Running toward the 7/16th are in the bend for home, and St. Cecilia cruises along by a length and 3 parts. Double the Honey sent in pursuit. Saragossa in between runners. Dance So Sweet well positioned on the rail, only 3 lengths off that lead, and a gap opens up to the last pair. The Guardian racing out wide of Machismo. St. Cecilia comes into the lane. The rider having a peep over his shoulder, still using hands alone, and now he begins to change his hold. And the big filly St. Cecilia looks to be gone. Dance So Sweet let loose over toward the rail. Saragossa left out of it. Double the Honey plugging away but going nowhere on the outside, and it's St. Cecilia and Shane Ellis. He uses the left-hand stick inside the final 16, and St. Cecilia will beat Dance So Sweet. St. Cecilia beginning to tire a bit, but she wins the non-such sprint trophy over Dance So Sweet, Saragossa, Machismo.
Thanks for watching, guys, and remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, stay safe.